Meet John Wayne Gacy, a respected businessman, community member, and a charismatic performer known as Pogo the Clown. But behind this facade lurked a monstrous darkness that would eventually shatter the illusion of his normalcy. John Wayne Gacy was born in Chicago in 1942. He was the only son of his parents. He was from a middle-class family where his father was a blue-collar worker and his mother was a pharmacist. John Wayne Gacy had a rough childhood as his father drank a lot and would physically abuse him. He was known to even abuse Gacy's mother. Gacy's father was always disappointed in him. He would call him stupid and also that he is nothing but a failure. Gacy was close to his mother. He had little to none relation with his father as he would mostly be intoxicated or at work. Gacy's high school journey was again disappointed his father as he was not performing up to the standards. At the age of 20, John left his home with no qualifications and found a job in Las Vegas as a janitor in a mortuary. He worked there for 3 months where dead bodies were now no new thing for him. He returned back to Chicago and enrolled in a business college. Gacy now was started to flourish as he was studying and improving himself. Soon he discovered that he had this talent of salesmanship, which he is very good at. During working in a shoe shop, he was appointed as a manager in response to his performance for them. Gary was now without a family and thriving. He met Marlon Meyer, his co-worker, and was married to her in 1964. His father-in-law saw a potential in him and appointed him as a manager of his 3 fast food chain in Iowa. Gacy and Marlon Meyer were now settled in Iowa, where they had 2 children together. Gacy was now known as the respectable businessman of his suburban neighborhood. Gacy started showing interest in young boys and abusing them by luring them into his house for money or job. He was a known businessman in the community, and if he offers a normal job with a high pay to a young hustler, they were most likely to fall for it. One day he convinced a young boy to watch a porn in his house. After watching a porn, he knife-pointed him and cuffed him on the bed, and then physically abused him. He was not the first boy who was abused by Gacy, but he was the first who reported to police, and that leads to his arrest. 26 years old Gacy was arrested and charged for sodomy and 10 years in the prison in Anamosa. At prison, he behaved and developed an image of himself as a responsible inmate, where he became a chief cook of prison. He was released just after 18 months for good behavior. In 1970, divorced John Wayne Gacy left his old life in Iowa and went back to Chicago to get started again. He then married Carol Hoff, who was divorced too. She and her children moved into with Gacy. This was all part of his plan to blend in the community, so he could carry out his lust for young boys. He would also arrange a party in the neighborhood where he would dress as a clown and entertain others. He was now a contractor and hired many young boys for construction work. He would now not just sexually abuse his victims, but killing them afterwards, as one day he killed a boy while abusing him, which gives him a new thrill and excitement in killing, and had intention to continue. He would also drive around his car in Chicago to pick up young, desperate boys. He would lure them with his money. His wife divorced him as he was no longer interested in marital life. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy embarked on a reign of terror that would claim the lives of numerous young men and boys. Luring them with promises of work and money, he led them to his suburban home where they would meet their horrifying fate. The disappearance of Robert Piest in 1978 sparked an intensive investigation as he was not the type of usual boy that he picked. Robert was in a high school and had parents who loved him, and they were the ones that reported to police when he was missing. This was unlikely with his other victims as they were mostly homeless, lived alone, and had no family in the state. The investigation revealed the chilling extent of Gacy's crimes. As police dug deeper, they unearthed a sinister tapestry of evidence, leading them to Gacy's hidden chamber of horrors. 15 years old Robert Piest was working a regular job in a pharmacy. When his mother came to pick him up, he asked his mother to wait inside so he can talk to someone about a job in a construction company. This was the last sighting of the 15 years old Robert Piest. Police investigated and found from the pharmacy about a contractor who do repair works in their drugstore. The address and the name of John Wayne Gacy came to attention with the police. Police then went to Gacy's home where they searched his house for clues. At first, police found jewelries that young boys would wear at that time. They also found multiple IDs of other young boys. However, police did not find any other clue, as Gacy said that these IDs are of his employees that worked in the construction. Police confirmed this, that these are in fact IDs of his employees, but those young employees were missing too. Police went to Gacy's house again to do more thorough search. They started digging, and what they found beneath his house is chilling. An officer went to a crawl space in his house, as there was no other place in his home where he could hide a body. When he lit his flashlight under the crawl space, he saw fresh soil and worms that were hiding from his light. He roughly started digging and found a shoulder bone. It was confirmed now that there is a body. Reinforcement were now called to do some more digging. They came with more manpower and equipment. As they were digging, they were finding more and more bones of different body parts of multiple bodies. It took the authorities weeks as they would keep finding the human remains. All the bodies were of teenage young boys. This very unusual case was getting a lot of attention in media, as they were always reporters and passerby outside Gacy's residence when police were digging up bodies. Many parents came outside Gacy's residence whose young boys were missing too. They came there to find some answers and to know whether their son has become the victim of Gacy's horrible crime. However, identifying the human remains were a slow process back then. There was not any DNA technology used, so they used dental records to match the body. As the investigation continued, the identities of Gacy's victims came to light. They were 30 young boys that Gacy killed, and many he buried beneath his home. These were young men with hopes, dreams, and families who loved them. Their lives were tragically cut short by the hands of a monster. However, there was still one thing that was troubling the investigators. Police came to his house to look for Robert Peist, and he is still missing. Among the 30 human remains that were found in Gacy's house, none of the remains belonged to Robert Peist. After recovering all the remains from the crawl space, police drew their attention to the arrested John Wayne Gacy to answer some missing pieces. At first he was reluctant and denying everything, but then he realized this is the end of his horrible crimes. He started talking of what he did to his victims coldly, as he felt no remorse for anyone. He also told the police that he strangled Robert Peist with the rope, and his remains were in his room when police first came into his house and asked him to come to the police station for questioning, of which he replied that he needed to visit a family member, so he may not be able to make it to the police station today. The officers then left. He then put Robert Peist's body in the trunk of his car and drove to the bridge above Illinois River and threw him to the river. It was freezing cold at that time, so that is why the body sinks below the river. It was found later on April when there was warm water, which caused bloating of the body and leads to float above the surface. This trial had provided a glimpse into the mind of a psychopath. Gacy's defense team attempted to paint him as mentally unstable, but the court uncovered the chilling details of his crimes, revealing the depth of his deceitful dual life. Interviews with friends and family painted a chilling picture of Gacy's ability to hide his true nature. Their testimonies revealed the stark contrast between the friendly face they knew and the malevolent force he truly was. On May 10, 1994, Gacy's reign of terror came to an end with his execution. Though justice was served, the scars he left on the lives of his victims and their families remain, a testament to the enduring impact of his heinous crimes. John Wayne Gacy's story is a haunting reminder that monsters can walk among us, their true nature hidden beneath charm and charisma. As we explore the depths of his depravity, let us honor the victims by never forgetting their names and stories. Support us for more videos.